Once upon a time there was a dog. A dog. A dog. A dog. Basically a dog. Now, if you're one of these new subscribers, of whom there's been a few lately, I happen to like saying the word dog like that. When I'm wearing these giant headphones and it's on we have the bass turned up, it sounds very good. I like the way I sound to me on it. Probably doesn't sound anything like that to you after I've processed it and turned it into basically an MP3 that's designed to be like tissue paper. It's the audio production equivalent of tissue paper, because that's how it fits onto the internet and down into your device. You have to turn your wonderful audio production into tissue paper that you cram into someone's device. Someday, though, they'll invent a new format and you'll be able to listen to this audio as it's intended, and then you'll understand. You'll finally understand. You say, that fella, I've been listening to him for years, and he always comes on and says, once upon a time there was a dog, a dog, a dog, basically a dog, and he claims that it sounds very good to him when he's listening to it, and I never understood it until now, but it turns out I found this new format. It's going to revolutionise the online podcast industry. They're replacing MP3 tissue paper with some new thing called MP7. Oh, it's basically stuff made out of gold. That's what it is. I don't know why they didn't invent it sooner. We should have known this a long time ago. I remember back in the 90s, when we started having personal stereos, sometimes you'd come across a pair of cheap headphones in a €2 shop, and they would say, oh, these are good because the plug is gold plated. It's really good for the sound. And they'd be £1.99 in €3 money, but not old money. Because when you say old money over here, you mean old pounds, shillings and pence. But no, this was in the decimization era of pounds and pence, which are gone now. They're being replaced by euros. But you don't call it the old money, because the old money was from before that. So no, you used to get good. They used to put gold-plated plugs on these headphone things and cheap microphones. So we should have known. We should have known all along that at some day we'd replace the MP3 tissue paper format with something that was made from gold-plated stuff, and that would do the trick, and that would... Of course, the problem was probably a bandwidth issue all along, because it's very hard to cram gold down an internet channel. But no, it's gold-plated, so it probably doesn't take... Don't they have that alcoholic beverage that has the gold flakes in it? That's not much more expensive than your average alcoholic beverage, but they put bits of gold into it. It's far superior than any other alcoholic beverage. You have your vodkas and your whiskies and your other stuff. The one with the gold leaf flakes in it is far superior. I've had it a few times. It's absolutely fantastic. It does wonders for you. It's like drinking a can of spinach in a cartoon. Except it's not advisable to go out beating people up after drinking it, like Popeye did. When Popeye did that, he wasn't drunk, he was fully alert, and he was trying to save olive oil or someone from a legitimate baddie, and because he was totally sober, he knew he was doing the right thing, so... he drank the spinach and then he went and beat them up. But that's not advisable to do if you're drinking alcohol, whether it has gold leaf in it or not. The gold leaf might make you feel very powerful, but you shouldn't trust your judgment, because you've got alcohol in your system. You don't trust your judgment. If you've been drinking alcohol and you feel like you want to beat someone up, it may not be as legitimate a decision as the decision you would make if your girlfriend Olive Oil was being threatened by someone on your ship and you'd had a can of spinach. So no, don't be that whole Popeye thing when you think about it. It was ludicrous, really. You had this fella who looked a bit like Robin Williams, and he had a thing coming out of his mouth that he was drawing in smoke through. That's probably where he got all the energy from. He was sucking in smoke. This was back in the days when doctors used to tell people to smoke tobacco because it's good for you. So this fella It never even occurred to the original producers that the fact that he was sucking in smoke through a pipe all day was probably what was giving him all the energy and power. No, they said, oh, no, it all comes from the spinach. It's the spinach that's doing that. Spinach is like tissue paper that you can eat. It's like spinach is like the MP3 of the vegetable world. I don't know if you've ever had spinach. It's basically like water. It's like tissue paper, but more disgusting. It's flimsy stuff. You put it in a bit of water and it disintegrates. It turns into vomit. Well, it doesn't turn immediately into vomit, but it turns into something that has quite a significant amount of potential to turn into vomit. It just won't be very satisfying vomit. It's far more satisfying vomit you get from eating a bag of chips and then pouring in a load of vodka on top of it. The vomit you get from eating spinach is not satisfying at all. You feel like a moron when you do that because you've eaten all the spinach because you believe it's good for you and you're puking it all up and all you're thinking is, oh, all that nutrition is going up back out of my body. I didn't get the benefit of any of that at all. It was all a wasted exercise. And that's how spinach makes you feel. Makes you feel like a complete loser. Now, the thing is though, if you're smoking on the pipe all day, that's going to help alleviate you feeling like a loser. But you won't know, you'll think that's the spinach doing that. I presume Popeye was smoking tobacco long before he got into drinking spinach all the time. It's not to say that he didn't know what spinach was. It was just that when he was younger, he was just... As a child, he wasn't going around getting into situations where he had to protect olive oil from something. He was just a single young man going to school, hanging around the bike sheds during the schoolyard lunchtime and getting addicted to smoking. So he did all that first, and then when he got older, he started having spinach, probably because was he a sailor or something? I think it was. I presume in the military they make you eat fairly nutritious stuff that they think is fairly nutritious. So they give you a bit of spinach. But presumably you can. If you're in a submarine, they're going to give you canned stuff like that. Because you're in a submarine, the atmosphere in a submarine is terrible for everything. So any food that you're going to eat is going to have to be sealed in a can so that it's not sealed in the... Oh, this is a hard one to explain. If you're living in a submarine for weeks on end, you're sealed in this submarine, the atmosphere in there is going to be terrible for any food that you store in it. So that's why you put everything in cans. The can is like a submarine within a submarine, but the atmosphere inside the can in which the food is kept is somehow healthier than the atmosphere in the submarine, presumably because the inside of the can isn't full of 200 sweaty men smoking and farting and belching all day. The spinach is somehow protected from that because it's in a can within the submarine. So it's almost as good as being not in the submarine at all. It's in a protected atmosphere of a tin can. And that would be very useful if it wasn't for the fact that it's a load of fucking spinach, watery green stuff. Put something proper in the can. That's just wasted. You create a whole ecosystem inside a can to protect the food from whatever's outside of that can but inside the submarine can. But then you just put crap like spinach. Put something proper in there to make it worth it. Be some canned meat. Do they have canned meat on submarines? They probably do. Because it's not like they could put everything in their fridge. Or maybe they do. I don't know how submarines work. They're ridiculous things. They show you a picture of a submarine on the television in some documentary and they say, look at this. There's 8,000 men living in this. You have 8,000 bunk beds. Each bunk bed has 10 levels on it. There's a toilet built into the wall beside the bunk beds. You don't have to leave your bunk. And then there's a big canteen where everyone goes to have their breakfast. And the corridors are about an inch wide and 2 inches tall. That's somehow a workplace and they get things done. Ridiculous. We're probably going to find out one of these days that submarines don't exist at all. It's all fake. We're all worrying about the moon landings being fake. But we think it's perfectly reasonable that there's 3,000 men living in a tin can floating under the surface of the sea somewhere for months on end. But no, we think it's completely impossible that 3 men went to the moon and walked around a bit in the big, huge space thing. It makes no sense at all. Anyway, on with the show.
Into your head, into your head, into your head, into your head, into your head.
You join me at a tremendously exciting moment. It's into your head, number 814. We've a lot to get on with today. Items that need to be attended to, issues that need to be addressed, topics. Oh, topics. We've got lots and lots of topics. We're positively booming to the seams with topics. We've got topics coming out of, I don't know, last time I said topics coming out of my arse. And I thought that was a bit much. I thought back during the post-production process, I listened to that and I thought back and said, that's a bit much. That's a bit much, isn't it? Trying to introduce this to new listeners, and I start going, we've got topics coming out of my arse. And I went further than that. I made it even worse than that with the whole thing about the sausage. The previous episode, number 813, if you're interested. But no, that was a bit much. I don't want to go down that route of starting every episode with something extremely vulgar. That's a bit much, and it's not a reasonable way to introduce people to this, because there's some new subscribers arriving in the last couple of weeks. The first thing they're going to hear of this was me going, I've got topics coming out of my arse. And then the sausage stuff that followed. No, that was a bit much. A bit much. Let's not do that again. Let's go back to basics. Let's do a proper decent opening. We go, you join me at a tremendously exciting moment. It's into your head, etc., etc., etc. We've got topics coming out of topics coming into my mouth. Is that better? Topics coming into my mouth. And now, they're not coming in through my mouth. They're coming into my mouth from another part of my head, from my brain. My brain is inside my head, and the thoughts go from my brain into my mouth. Of course, you instantly heard that and you automatically decided, he thinks he has topics coming into his mouth. He misspoke. A fucking idiot. You're an idiot. You're a fucking idiot. You misspoke. No, I didn't misspoke. Topics can come into your mouth. They can enter your mouth from another part of your head. They don't have to be coming in like reverse vomiting or something. They don't have to be coming into the opening of your mouth at the front. No, they can enter your mouth by osmosis, or whatever way it gets from your brain to your vocal cord. Your vocal cords, they're not even in your head. They're down in your neck. To be accurate, the thoughts start at the top of your head and then they go down to your neck. And then they go up into your mouth to the throatal area. It's a bit like puking, to be fair. It's a little bit like puking. It's just that it doesn't come from your stomach. It comes from your brain. You're vomiting forth from your brain. And it's not the same as vomiting forth from your digestive system. It's not the same thing at all. Not the same thing at all. It's completely different. Absolutely different. Don't be going comparing apples and oranges like that. Apples and oranges are completely different. One is a fruit that's round, that you bite into and you cram it into your face. And the other one is a fruit that's round, that you spend half an hour trying to remove the outside layer of. Because God forbid you should eat the outside layer of a piece of fruit. Apparently that kills you or something. No, you have to remove remove the peel. They call it peel because they decided, if you call it peel, then people will realise you're supposed to unpeel it. That's what you do. You unpeel. Oh, wait, you don't unpeel it. They call it peeling an orange. But in fact, what you're doing is unpeeling it. You're removing the peel so it has no peel on it. That's what you're doing. You're not peeling it, you're unpeeling it. And if you can't even get that much right, you've no business going around telling people that they should be eating fruit all day. Because you can't even get your terminology right like that. What you should probably be eating, if you're having that sort of trouble with vocabulary and terminology, you'd be better off eating some fish. Fish is brain food. That's what. You cram fish up your nose or up into your... Well, no, you don't. You eat it the same way you eat any other food. You cook it very carefully. Or else you get a tin of tuna and then you don't have to worry about anything. You can just cram a tin of tuna right into your face. You don't have to cook it or anything or worry about whether it's safely cooked. You can just go, oh, it comes cooked. Which does it even come cooked? I don't know. I just assumed this. Anytime I've had a tin of tuna, I've opened it up and I've thought, oh, that's great. This doesn't need any cooking at all. Arguably, it doesn't need any preparation at all, other than removing the lid of the can and sticking a spoon into it and feeding it to my cat Bowsy. Don't be eating fish. It's a ludicrous food. You don't eat fruit, but you make yourself eat fish. As if that's somehow more important. That's like forcing yourself to eat cabbage. Don't force yourself to eat cabbage. It's a disgusting food. You're cramming it down your gullet like it's going to help you in some way, like it's going to do. You watch Popeye and you watch him eating a can of spinach and getting high for about a minute, and you think, oh, that's healthy, a food that gives you a huge burst of energy for about 2 minutes so you can beat the crap out of some enemy who's, I don't know, who's trying to do something to your Popeye ship or something, and you think that's healthy. No, that's like going around thinking if you eat a bag of sugar and get a little sugar high out of that, that's healthy. Drinking spinach out of a can and then having a burst of energy from it is not a good thing. Eat foods that gently release, such as, for example, boiled sweets. A boiled sweet or a piece of chewing gum is the perfect nutrition because it's slow release. Chewing gum, you just chew and chew and chew and it's slow release, and then when you decide it tastes like nothing, then you know it's time to finish. You can either swallow it or spit it out. Don't spit it onto the ground now because that's disgusting. Someone has to clean that up or ignore it. They don't have to clean it. People love to say this. If you drop litter, they always say, someone has to clean that up. No, that's not true. Nobody has to clean that up. They don't. People can just leave it and ignore it. It's perfectly legal to just leave it. If I spit a piece of chewing gum onto the floor now and you say, someone has to clean that up. Well, who are you to say that? Why, you, the boss now, who goes around issuing instructions saying, somebody must now clear that up. I've ordered it. They must clean that up. No, that's not true at all. I could go out and have diarrhea on the upstairs front seat of a bus on the way into Dublin from here. And I could leave my diarrhea on the seat and someone could say, someone has to clean that up now, and they'd be wrong. It's perfectly possible for that to be just left and nobody do anything about it. And I'm not saying it would be pleasant or that that bus would ever be used again. But no, let's be accurate. The science of it is that nobody has to do anything about that. That's the problem now. They do this with the litter. And I'm not saying litter is good. But no, people see litter and they say, that's disgusting. That's evil. People who drop litter are evil and wicked. This town has litter on the ground. You might as well be living in Chernobyl. That's where you might be. There's litter on the ground. Oh, Christ, there's bits of paper on the ground. Someone dropped a bag of chips somewhere by accident while they were drunk and trying to get home after a pleasant night out, which gave his family a break from him for 4 hours. And you're frowning on that because they happened to cause a bit of litter. No, take a chill pill. Someone doesn't have to clean it up, but if you want to clean it up, you can. If it makes you feel better, if you prefer there to not be litter on the ground, feel free to pick it up, but nobody has to, and nobody's telling you you have to. And if you're telling anyone else they have to, that's not true. They don't have to. There's no thing about, unless it's dog shit and someone has a law about it. Yeah, arguably they have to, but they don't, see, so it's meaningless. Somebody has to clean that up. It's just not true. Not true at all. It's absolute bollocks. So now there you go. Oh yes, I was talking about tuna and fruit. And then we got to dog shit and diarrhea on the bus. Now, where were we going with that now? Oh, I'm sure it was something. Then I got a coughing fit. You probably didn't hear that because it gets edited out. I had a coughing fit about 3 minutes ago. Nearly puked my lungs out. Oh, that's where we were. We were talking about how stuff gets into your mouth, but is not necessarily entering your mouth from the outside. It can be entering your mouth from the brain. That's where the topics come from. They enter my mouth from my brain. You probably knew that already. You weren't under any delusions that the topics come in through my mouth from outside. You are not. That'd be nonsense. I wasn't really worrying about it, so I don't know why you think I was worrying about it. Possibly because I spent 10 minutes talking about it. I suppose there's that. But I also spent 10 minutes talking about shitting on a bus. And I didn't sound very worried about that, did I? No. Didn't sound worried about it at all. So don't assume that because I talk about something I'm worried about it. I mentioned Chernobyl as well. I said, you might as well be in Chernobyl if there's litter everywhere, which is clearly bollocks. I'm not worried about Chernobyl at all. There's no danger of me moving to Chernobyl. It's not going to happen. I moved house last year. I'm probably never going to move ever again. So unless Chernobyl somehow comes here to the east coast of Ireland, then there's no chance of me suddenly ending up in Chernobyl. I suppose one of the nuclear things on the west coast of England could explode, and that would effectively turn this area into somewhat of a Chernobyl. Well, still, it would be a pale imitation of Chernobyl. It would be a completely different country. Stuff coming across the Irish Sea. Probably just go out and sit in the shed. I have a metal shed here. I have a metal garden shed we use as the laundry. I go out and sit there for a few hours, and that's probably safer than being in the house, is it? I don't know. Can nuclear stuff get in through the windows if they're double glazed? Are they less likely to get into a corrugated roof metal? Oh, now that you mention it, at the top of, between the corrugated roof of the shed and the corrugated metal walls, there's space there where air can come in. So no, that's probably not particularly safe. You can say the same about anything. There's space in the front of my face where air can come in. There's no way you can protect yourself from anything as long as you have orifices in the front of your face. You have several orifices there. You have the nose thing, that counts as 2 orifices. And then there's the mouth. And then there's the eyes, which I suppose they're not really orifices, but there are tear ducts. And then there's sweat glands and ears. There's just loads of places in your face. Do your ears count as part of your face? I don't know. Are your ears just part of your... They're not part of the top of your head, surely. And they're not part of your neck. Are your ears part of your face? There's a question for you. Bet you never even thought about it. Are your ears part of your face, or are they part of some other part of your body? What section of your body would you categorize your ears as being part of? There's a question for you. Is your forehead part of your face? There's another question for you. You'd probably prefer if it wasn't part of your face, or you'd probably prefer people didn't think of your forehead as being part of your face, because then you have the whole Conan O'Brien thing going on. When people say you have a huge face with a giant forehead on top, and that's considered a bad thing. Having a big face is considered a bad thing. That's like saying if your house has big windows on it, that's bad. It's not bad at all. Windows are for looking in and out through, and the face, well, it's somewhat for looking out through the holes in front of your eyes. But it's also the window of your soul. You express yourself through your face, and having a big face is no bad thing, I can tell you. I presume it isn't anyway. It's not like I've done any studies on the matter. But no, I presume that having a big face is not some big disability or something automatically. It's just a big face. And if you don't like it, of course, you could decide to tell everyone your forehead doesn't count as part of your face. But then, of course, they'll say, oh, right, you're saying your face ends just above your eyebrows. Well, then you have a weird shape of a face then. You've got a face that ends at a straight line just above your eyes. And that makes you like one of those masks that they have on theatre logos. Those little masks, they're straight at the top and then you hold up in front of you. People associate those with theatre. So you're saying your face is like that. And of course then you say, oh no, I've changed my mind. My forehead is part of my face. My face goes all the way up to my hairline then. And then they'll go, but you're bald, so your face goes all the way up to the top of your head and across to the back of it, and maybe down the back to your ears as well. And you'll say, well, my ears were already part of my face. My ears are already incorporated into my face. You don't have to add them in again by saying your face goes up across your forehead and across the bald part of your head and then down the sides to your ears to encompass your ears. No, your face already includes your ears. So that's not a thing. And then, of course, to quite reasonably say, how far down does your face go then? Does it go down to your shaving line where your stubble ends just at the top of your neck? Or does it go right down your neck? Does it go down into the V shape of the top of your chest to wherever a V-shaped collar might be? Could that be part of your face? Well, it is if people are looking at it all the time. You could argue that's part of your face. That's the side of you that you show to the outside world. Suppose that's possible. And you could also argue that if you're one of those people who goes around in shorts and no t-shirt in hot weather, your face goes all the way down to the waist and then it skips a bit and then it continues just after the bottom of your shorts, goes from there down to the top of your socks. And then, of course, people will say, they'll get distracted then because they'll hear about your socks and they'll say, oh Christ, you're wearing socks and shorts. You're probably wearing sandals as well. How dare you wear socks when you're wearing shorts? That's disgusting. People are very weird about that. They say, don't be wearing shorts and sandals and the same thing. Socks should not be worn if you're wearing sandals or if you're in shorts or it's a hot day or something. Apparently, that's disgusting. It's a lot more natural, apparently, to just put your disgusting feet straight into a sandal with nothing to separate them. Nothing to divide this disgusting feet of yours from the footwear. The footwear that you put on again the next day is going to have all the sweat and filth from yesterday, regardless of the fact that you've washed your feet. That's apparently preferable to going around in socks. That's absolutely ridiculous. Wear socks. They're there for a reason. Wear socks. That's what they're for. They're there to help you keep your shoes or sandals clean. The whole idea with socks is at the end of the day you can remove them, and then unless there's been something very extreme and catastrophic happening that day, your sandals remain in reasonably good condition. If there's been something a bit catastrophic, there's stuff you can spray your shoes with. Well, no, if you take off your socks at the end of the day, you can be pretty sure, damn Christ, if you have a wash in the morning and then put on fresh socks, there's no issues with wearing the same shoes that you wore yesterday. If that's not a reasonable way to live, then I just don't know what is. What's wrong with you if you think that's unreasonable? Well, there's something wrong with you. So what is wrong with you? Not that there's anything wrong with having something wrong with you. If you get my drift, people who have something wrong with them are just as much human beings as the rest of us and they shouldn't be alienated. But really, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Are you just a bit weird? Is that what it is? Well, that's okay. I'm a bit weird too. Come on in. You probably just found this podcast, did you? You probably did. I've been advertising it a bit over the past couple of weeks. I've been putting it around a bit, trying to find a new audience. And if it turns out that they're weird, that's fine. Come on in, I'm weird too. It's perfectly fine. Absolutely. Not a problem. Just change your fucking socks and wear socks, will you? Anyway, hello and welcome to the show.
Into your head.
Two cats walk into a bar. One of the cats goes straight up to the bar counter and says, hello, can I have a pint of your finest Guinness, please? And the man behind the bar says, you certainly can, sir. You certainly can. Oh, wait a minute, are you a cat? And the cat says, what gave it away? And the man behind the bar says, nothing's giving it away. I'm just asking, are you a cat? I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt for the moment and assuming that you're not. I'm assuming that you're a normal human being. But I'm just asking, are you a cat? As a responsible bar license holder, I have to occasionally check these things just the way sometimes I'll check when a 15-year-old comes in here looking for a bottle of vodka. Sometimes I'll check their ID to make sure their name matches the name that's on their credit card, because I don't want to have thieves coming in here. Because you know what happens there. They get away with it once, They come in with their parents' credit card and buy a load of vodka on it, and they'll down that, and next thing you know, they're drunk. So they can't stop themselves doing even more. So they go out and buy a helicopter or something on the credit card, and then they try and fly it while they're still drunk. And it's my job to slow them down a bit so they either don't get as drunk as quickly, or when they do get as drunk as quickly, I basically hold them back a bit so they have some time to sober up before their helicopter is ready or whatever. Basically, I'm a buffer, kind of a buffer that slows things down. I'm like on an aeroplane when they're trying to reduce their speed to come into land. They have various flaps and tails and things that go up a bit and help them slow down. A bit like that. Of course, you probably don't have those on helicopters, do you? Why am I asking you? You're either a person or a cat. Why would a person or a cat know anything about how a helicopter slows down? I suppose a person might. Now that you mention it, that's ridiculous. Of course, there's no reason a person wouldn't know that. People know all sorts of things, especially people who come in here. People come into this bar of mine from all walks of life. There's people who know about planes because they've watched all 240 episodes of Air Crash Investigation. And there's people who know a bit about helicopters because the last couple of seasons they did a couple of helicopter episodes. Of course, helicopters are a complete mystery to most people in aviation. There's a big chunk of metal, and when it fails, it just drops into the sea and goes straight down. There's no floating around for a bit. I can tell you, if you're on a helicopter, it just plunges into the water, and then that's that. That's that. It just goes, oh, fucker, I'm done. I can't stay up. Helicopters can't swim at all. Aeroplanes can barely swim. Sometimes they float a bit, or they kind of get stuck on, they kind of hang around near the top of the water for a bit or something, or people manage to get out. But no, a helicopter, it just goes straight down. It's designed to go straight down. It's like an elevator, except without an elevator shaft. It doesn't need a shaft because it can go straight down without being guided. The only reason an elevator needs a lift shaft is to make sure it goes the right way, because otherwise it will just go all over the place. You want to keep it on the right path. People want to know where they're arriving. You don't want to get on an elevator shaft on the 10th floor and then go down to the first floor and arrive at some part of the first floor that you're not familiar with. It's nowhere near reception or the lobby or anywhere. Maybe it's round the back. Because no, that can be rather confusing. So no, you have an elevator shaft, so the elevator just goes straight down. Of course, it'd be far more efficient in these big, tall buildings to have no elevator shaft and have an elevator that's designed to, like a person would, a person who was walking around the building, walking up and down the corridors, they just go wherever there's a space. When you're a person walking around the building or outdoors, you're walking along a corridor or down some steps. You just look in front of you and you look for an empty space in front of you, and as you follow that space, you don't bump into anyone. Now, an elevator, if you could design an elevator that could do that, then it wouldn't need a lift shaft. It would just transport you down the stairs or down through the air, through holes in the floors or something, where it would navigate past any obstructions and people. So it wouldn't have to go straight down a guided lift shaft. And if you could get rid of the lift shaft in a skyscraper, that's an extra few square feet on every single floor. You have 100 floors, that's thousands of square feet that you can use as office space. And that's why the idea is so attractive. That's why on Star Trek they have these turbo lifts where you just say, oh, I want to go to the third floor, but I want to go to the other end of the third floor. I think that's what they do anyway. Maybe I've misunderstood it. But if you could do that in a building, you could just have the lift could just go up and down the stairs. The lift would go into the stairwell, smoothly float up and down the stairs. It'd probably hover above the steps. Go up and down the stairs, past any obstructions. Wouldn't need a lift shaft at all, and then would deliver you to your required part of the floor that you're going to. There'll be plenty of extra space. That's what you should do. Is this the barman who's talking now? I think so. Anyway, yes, it's the barman. And then the cat says, so do you want to check my ID so you can figure out whether I'm a cat or a person? And the man behind the bar says, no, sir, no. It's just a random check. Just keeping on top of things. Nobody's accusing you of being a cat. I just want to, yes, please, can I have a look at your ID? And the cat says, here's my ID. And claws the man's face off. And the man behind the bar says, Christ, who is that fella and why did you claw his face off instead of just showing me your ID? But being a lot simpler, it's going to be a court case now. Going to have to talk to my public liability insurance people and tell them it wasn't me, it was a cat who was pretending to be a human. And then the cat says, excuse me, I never said I was a human. I never said I was a human. Never said I was a cat, but I also didn't say I was a human. I just said, hello, could I have a pint of your finest Guinness, please? And you went on something about lifts and elevator shafts, and quite interesting, the thing about the elevator shaft, where it's clearly all fantasy nonsense as well. I don't even think they do that on Star Trek. I've never seen a turbo lift in Star Trek going up and down the stairs. Why would they have stairs if their lifts were that great anyway? And the barman says they'd have to have the stairs because there's no elevator shaft, so that the lift still has to get up and down between the floors, so it has to go up and down the stairs. It hovers over the steps and goes up the stairs. And the cat says, well, surely you could just have a little hole. Instead of the stairs, you could just have a small hole where you would otherwise have a stairwell, and the lift can float up through that. And the man behind the bar says, what you're describing there, sir, is a lift shaft. An open lift shaft, perhaps, but still a lift shaft. We're trying to get away from the need for lift shafts. Do you not understand that? And the cat says, no, I don't. No, I don't. I'm a mere cat posing as a human being, apparently. So no, I don't. And that's all very interesting, but I think you need to call some help for this man whose face I've just clawed off. Because otherwise your public liability insurer and possibly the courts are going to be asking why he didn't call assistance for this fella. And the man behind the bar says, oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. Where's my telephone? Have a look for my telephone here now. Here, telephone, look, telephone. And the cat says, are you trying to call your telephone like it's a cat or something? And the man behind the bar says, no, I misspoke there. That was an error. I just misspoke. And the cat says, I see, because I was going to suggest it'd be far better get a piece of ham out of the fridge and kind of dangle that, if that's what you're trying to do. And the man behind the bar says, oh, that's a good idea. I'll get a piece I don't have any ham. I have some chicken, though. I'll dangle this. And the cat says, oh, please do. If you could just dangle this just over in front of me here, I think that would attract the telephone. And the man behind the bar says, okay, here we go. Here, telephone, have some chicken here. Look, here, telephone. And the cat says, that was delicious, thank you. And the man behind the bar says, what happens now? And the cat says, well, it spends the next couple of hours going down through my trachea and digestive system, and then it gradually absorbs the nutrition into my various organs, and then anything that's left over ends up in the litter tray. That's what happens next. Is that what you meant, though? I'm not sure. Maybe that's not what you meant. And the man behind the bar says, no, that's not what I meant at all. That's not what I meant at all. I don't even know why I'm asking you. Why would I ask you? And the cat says, you're asking me because I was the one who had enough presence of mind to suggest to you that perhaps you should call for help for that person whose face just got scraped off in the bar. As otherwise you're going to have to explain why you didn't to the powers that be. And the man behind the bar says, oh, I suppose that's true, but wait, you're also the one who scraped that man's face. And the cat says, that's of no bearing on it. And the man behind the bar says, I suppose that's true. Oh, yes, that's why I was looking for the telephone, wasn't it? I was going to call for help. Then my telephone hasn't turned up, though. And the cat says, oh, maybe your telephone just doesn't like chicken. Maybe it's a vegan or something. Have you got one of those vegan telephones? I hear they're quite popular in Europe. In America, where most podcasts come from, the Apple is quite dominant still in the smartphone industry. But over here, they all have Android. And Android phones, a lot of those Android phones, well, there's different types of Android phones. You have every type of phone under the sun, under the Android banner. It's a whole ecosystem. So there's bound to be a proportion of phones in that don't eat chicken or ham at all. They're vegans. Maybe you should dangle some cheese or something. And the man behind the bar says, wait, cheese? Is cheese a vegan food? And the cat says, I think there's only one way to find out. Read the ingredients on the cheese. Although that sounds like a lot of work. I would just get some cheese and dangle it. Now, don't get the Baby Bell cheese, because that's packaged up in wax that's very hard to claw open. But none of those easy singles crap either, because that's just covered in cellophane. You might as well be eating a piece of paper. Just get some either proper fresh sliced cheese or a block of nice cheese with holes in it. Whole cheese with holes in it. Because apparently holes make it good. People like holes in things for some reason. They just love to drill holes into bits of cheese. They drill holes into that Polo, there's a mint. Their slogan used to always be, Polo, the mint with the hole. And then they have those donuts. They have holes in them too. And then they have, there's all sorts of things. People love to put holes in things. I think they think it's helping keep the cost down or something. Like when they did that thing with the Toblerones, they changed the configuration of the Toblerone pyramid-shaped chocolate slab thing that people always buy in airports. They change it so the gaps are bigger, so there's less substance to it. That's exactly the same as making a hole in a piece of cheese. They're just trying to cut down on cost while making the product look like it hasn't shrunk. If someone is making holes in your cheese, they're trying to con you. So no, I take it back. Don't get some cheese with holes in it. Although now that you mention it, you're just trying to call your phone. Maybe you should be trying to call it and trick it into coming. So actually, no, I take that back. If you're trying to summon your phone with a block of cheese that looks bigger because it's full of holes, there's no more substance to it than a smaller piece of cheese where it looks bigger because of all the holes through it. That might be more likely to attract your phone. And the man behind the bar says, it's okay, I found it. It's right here. I forgot I have a landline here. It's tied straight to the wall here. There's no way it could possibly have gotten lost. The receiver could because it's a cordless phone. But no, the base station is right here. I press a button on here and it calls the hand part of my cordless phone. If I can't find it, it makes it go beep. It goes, here I am, beep. I'm your cordless phone. I'm over here. And then you go over and get it. But as it happens, the cordless phone is here on the wall as well, so I don't even have to do that. I just have to pick it up like this and say, hello, is that the police? And they'll say, I don't know what they'll say. There's one way to find out for sure though. So I'll pick it up. Hello, is that the police? It just seems to be just beeping. It's like a weird tone. And the cat says, are you not supposed to dial a number or something? Or go into your contacts and pick something out from it? And the man behind the bar says, no, this is one of those old-fashioned phones. You just pick her up and then usually there's an operator picks up at the other end. And you say, hello, you see the way you have a load of sockets in front of you? Can you take the plug that's going into my socket in front of you and plug that into the socket that goes to the police station, please? And they'll say, certainly, sir, putting you through now. That's what happens. And the cat says, so is that what's happening now? And the man behind the bar says, no, there seems to be nobody there. Nobody's picking up. Do phone operators take lunch breaks? And the cat says that they do indeed. Every phone operator in the world has been on a continuous lunch break since about 1973 when they brought in automated phone exchanges. And the man behind the bar says, that's very interesting. You seem to know an awful lot of stuff for a suspected cat. And the cat says, indeed I do. Indeed I do. And a great night is had by all.
Are you going into your head?
If you enjoy the show, please leave a rating and review wherever you get your podcasts, even if you already did one before Neal's brief 7-year interlude. Didn't like it? Try replaying it at double speed before you give up entirely.
Now, I know what you're thinking there. You're thinking, oh, this is all very interesting now. He's doing this thing with the fella in the bar, and there's a cat. He's had cats coming into the bar every week since the comeback last autumn. On this podcast, there's been 2 cats coming into the bar just about every week. But suddenly it's an issue. He's going, oh, is that a cat or a person? Well, no, it's not that it's an issue. It's just that I've done 2 or 3 where a dog turned up at the bar where cats had already been happily served, and a dog turned up when the barman went, oh Christ, is that a dog? I'll have health and safety down on me like a ton of bricks. Get out, get out, get out. It's a filthy, smelly dog in my bar. Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. I thought I'd provide some balance this week by having the barman express some level of concern about a cat coming into the bar. It seems only fair. Why should a cat be treated any different than a dog? Well, there's several reasons. For one thing, a cat is far superior to a dog, obviously. You want your cats to be treated like proper members of society. You have to expect them to tolerate being held to account as well. Like when they come into a bar, you have to ID them sometimes, just the way you would ID a dog who came in. If a dog came into your bar, the first thing you do is say, is that a dog? Who does it belong to? It better be a service animal, otherwise it's got no business in here. Dog, show me some documentation showing me that you're a service animal and you're accompanying some member of the patronage of this bar. Because otherwise you've no business being in here in your own right as an unaccompanied dog. And of course, at that point, the dog will say, I am an unaccompanied dog because I'm doing the accompanying. I'm accompanying my human in here. So very hard to explain. I'm the companion who's accompanying one of your human customers. They're not my accompaniment. So I suppose I am. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying technically I am an unaccompanied dog. But that's because I'm the one who's accompanying someone else. I have a human here and I'm minding them for you. Is that okay? Are you happy with that now? Or do you want to ID me like you did with the cat? And the barman, of course, will say to that. He'll say, oh, I'm very sorry, sir. I meant no offence at all. I was just trying to treat you with a bit of respect and not just have you come in saying, oh, he doesn't matter. He's just a dog. I won't bother IDing him or seeing what his story is. I'll just pretend he's just like a fly who flies in through the window. I'll just kind of ignore them unless they annoy me. No, that's no way to treat a working dog. I respect you, and because I respect you, I ask for your identification or documentations or explanation as to why you're coming in here. Doesn't mean that I assume you're up to something. It's quite the opposite. I assume you're a working dog who's here. Well, now that you mention it, if you're a working dog, surely you've no business drinking. You're on the job. You're a working dog. And the dog will say, excuse me, sir, I don't know how you think working dogs work, but we still have to drink water even when we're working. We have to get a little bowl of water beside us. You see anyone in an office who's got a guide dog sitting on the floor beside him, the first thing you'll notice is there's a little bowl of water beside him. I used to work with this fellow who had a guide dog. The guide dog would sit under his desk all day, and there'd be a little bowl of water there for the dog to drink out of. Nobody came up to him and said, dog, you're on duty here. You've no business drinking. They did not. For one thing, their owner would probably have explained to them that the dog can't speak. And while he's a very intelligent and well-trained dog, you can't really have a conversation with the dog about his beverage consumption. And for another thing, leave the fucking dog alone. He has to bring me home later. He's having a nice sleep under my desk. Leave him alone. Now, where was I? I was just on my phone. During the gap between this segment and the previous one that I made, I was looking at my TikTok. There's an enraged woman or man, I forget which, complaining because I put up a segment from a recent episode in which I made fun of people who take offence at people not knowing that the Irish Prime Minister has a proper Irish title and it's the Tifu, and that they should learn it. It's not too much to ask. This commenter went, "How dare you make fun of our language? That's not funny." Rest assured, I gave them a piece of my mind. I defended myself very well. Suffice to say, there's highlights of this podcast now available on TikTok, and they're very good. I know what you're thinking there. You're thinking, what in the name of Christ would that fella know about submarines? He sounds like he's never been in a submarine in his life. Well, I suppose that's true. I have, however, been in a helicopter. I think I talked about helicopters earlier, did I? Or perhaps it was in a deleted failed segment, but I did mention helicopters lately. I alluded to the fact people don't understand helicopters because they're difficult to understand. They're a ludicrous vehicle. They plunge into the sea and then that's it. It's a ridiculous thing. It's the same is true of submarines. You have this big metal object and it plunges into the sea. Now, obviously, if I'd been on a submarine, I might know a bit more about how they operate and might be a bit more at ease. Theoretically, I might be a bit more at ease with their existence and how they work. But you'd have thought the same about helicopters too. I've been on a helicopter once and it was fucking terrifying. So if I went on a submarine, I might decide then that the submarine was terrifying too. My wife and I went on a submarine outside Cape Town in South Africa on a honeymoon. We went up in this ex-military helicopter with open sides. There was either sliding doors or no doors at all. They were open-sided. We were strapped in. And this lunatic of a pilot and a co-pilot drove along the coast and then went down to some place where there's some cliffs and sped up and went over the cliffs and then dived a bit and turned up the radio playing Status Quo, "You're in the army now," just at that moment. Absolutely fucking horrific. That's what I was, and my wife loved it. I put my money where my mouth is and I went and had a go in a helicopter, and that's why it was fucking terrifying. So if you want me to go and do the same with submarines, I don't think so. At least if you want to win me over to the faux submarine brigade, it's probably not a good way to go about it. You might get me to go in a submarine if you paid me €500,000 or something, but you're probably not going to win me over as a pro-submarine person. I'd probably say they're absolute ludicrous things. What would happen if you had the pilots out of that helicopter driving a submarine? I don't know. The diving thing might be less terrifying because the submarine is obviously meant to dive. So if it dove over a cliff under the sea, that would be perfectly natural. Well, not natural. There's nothing natural about a submarine, but to be expected from the design of the submarine. It's supposed to dive into the sea. And what would happen if the same fella, when he was doing these stunts, on the helicopter, he turned up the radio and he had Status Quo, "You're in the army now. Oh, you're in the army now." And then he plunged over a cliff. It's fucking terrifying. If you did that in the submarine now, I don't know how the acoustics are in the submarine, but I imagine if you turn up the car, if the pilot in the submarine turns up the car radio, that's going to echo all over the place. It's going to be like being inside a toilet cistern, but it's also connected to some sort of speaker system. That's going to be horrible. No. That's no way to... And that's a submarine is a joint workplace. At least in a helicopter, even the military helicopters, they're transporting people from one base to another. Or else they're going around shooting people in the wars. I don't know, did you have helicopters that shoot people? At least when it's a workplace, but there's just 3 or 4 people in it. In a submarine, it's a workplace with hundreds of people in it, and you're going around putting on Status Quo. Status Quo is a fucking ludicrous band. I'll tell you about the Status Quo now. About 5 years ago, one of their two members of Status Quo, at least the two members that I was aware of, there was two members of Status Quo. There was the fellow with the pigtail or the ponytail, wherever you call it, who did a lot of the singing. And then there was the other fella, the blonde fella, and they both did guitar playing, and usually the other fella with the pigtail did the singing, and the blonde fella died. But then something happened then. Instead of Status Quo becoming a solo act with the one fella with the pigtail, it turned out there's about 6 of them now. And then I looked at it, they seem to have backdated it, because I looked up their discography, and every old Status Quo album now has about 6 men on the front of it, all playing guitars, lined up in a line along a stage, every one of them playing a guitar. They weren't on that before. That was inserted into the timeline somehow. That's like that thing, the Mandela Effect. There's a thing called the Mandela Effect. When Nelson Mandela died, there was a phenomenon where a lot of people said, Nelson Mandela died several years ago. I have a memory of him dying several years ago. And there was a theory that something happened with the timeline. So people did remember that, but then the timeline changed somehow. Well, I'm quite sure the same is true of Status Quo, because I'm quite sure that until that blonde fella died, Status Quo was 2 men with guitars, and they go jing 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 jing. That was the tune on every song. They went jing 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 jing, and then they did a bit of singing, and that was it. They said they did that other song. They went, whatever you want, do, whatever you like, do, you something, take your choice, do, you something. I don't think I even realised at the time when I was in that helicopter that they're in the army now was a Status Quo song, because it has a slightly different rhythm than all of their other songs, which are all the same. But no, it turned out it was. But no, I had no idea until after that fella died. They backdated it. They all had 6 fellas playing it every fucking album. Go and look it up now. Look it up. Go look it up on Spotify or something. Look at all the album covers for Status Quo. Every one of them, there's 5 or 6 men. They're all standing in a line. They're all playing guitars. Christ knows what they're playing on it, because there isn't 6 different guitar melodies going through each of those songs. But no, there's 6 of them. They're all grinning their heads off. Even without the blonde fella, there's still 6 of them. There definitely used to be just the 2 of them, right up until that fella died. And then I think after that, at one point shortly after that, I noticed one where there was a 3rd fella. And I thought, maybe it's like ZZ Top. ZZ Top, there was 3 of them. There was the 2 beard fellas, and there was the fella, the drummer, who didn't have a beard, but his surname was Beard. And then one of the fellas with the beard died. But they got another fella. He'd been with them for a while, but he kind of took over from the beard fella. And he came on one day, and one of his first appearances on stage, he had a 3-neck guitar, and everyone thought it was great. That's went great. But no, and that was just adding 1 person to the mix. Status Quo, they added 6 people to the mix, and they made a retrospective going right back to the 1960s. So there's something going on there. What's that song? There's something going on. That's from the 60s or 70s I think it was from America when they were assassinating everybody. Someone did a song saying, there's something going on round here. There's something going on round, something about a revolution or something. Was it Cat Stevens? Might have been. There's something going on. I don't remember the rest of it. I just remember the tone. It's hard to reproduce the tone of a song when you can't remember any of the song. There's something going on. You'd probably hear it when you watch documentaries about the 1960s. You see, they killed the JFK, and then they killed that poor man who was just standing up for civil rights, and then they killed the other FK, and then they're all going, there's something going on. Was that even an American? It might have been an English fella. I probably should look it up before I launch into a whole thing about it. But no, it's okay, because it's not the main purpose of this segment. The main purpose of this segment is helicopters and status quo. So it shouldn't really be a big thing. Anyway, on with the show. You join me at a tremendously exciting moment. It's the ending of the show, and I haven't been doing proper endings lately. I've just been assembling all the segments and deciding which one looks best as an ending. And then I've just been inserting the words wherever I wish them to appear. Like it's some sort of kit, like one of those. Oh, it's like one of those Mexican dinner kits that everyone gets here. You get an old El Paso burrito kit, and you read the instructions. It says, open up these 2 sachets and pour that into the other stuff. Fry up some meat in the pan and then drain it, and then put the stuff from this sachet in, and then put some solid stuff into the pita bread or whatever the fuck it is. To say that's never enough. There's never enough of the fucking pita bread or taco shells, whatever comes with those Mexican dinner kits. And he said, oh yeah, fry up this huge mound of meat and cheese and salad, and here's 2 tiny pieces of basically crisp tissue paper. They're the MP3s of the dinner kit world, except they taste better. They're not like that tissue paper. That's not really fair to compare them to tissue papers. It's just it's been a running theme in this episode, so I thought I would. But no, you get a couple of these bits of taco shells, wherever they are, made out of tissue paper. And you get a spoon, and you're supposed to spoon all the meat and cheese and liquid and solid into the tiny little piece of whatever it is that you eat it out of. That's never going to work. You eat everything that you can fit on the shell or the burrito wrap or whatever you have, and then you finish that, and then you've still stuff left in the bowl, and you end up eating it with a spoon like a fucking child. Convenience food known to man. I've never been in a Taco Bell. Is it like that in there? Do they give you 2 little tiny shells or wraps, and you're supposed to eat everything off that? And then if you run out, I presume a Taco Bell is like a McDonald's. They don't give you cutlery, so you have to eat it with your hands. At least in a McDonald's, if you... Actually, no. Well, kind of, yes. When I go into McDonald's, the only time you have a desire for cutlery in a McDonald's is if you go in at breakfast time and you get the pancakes in syrup. And then in that instance, they give you a completely inadequate plastic spoon and knife. And you're supposed to eat these pancakes, something which Irish people are not used to. We don't have a lot of pancakes here, so when we go into McDonald's, we're not well trained in eating pancakes, and we're expected to do it here with instead of the pancakes and syrup menu item, I get the pancakes and sausage menu item. Oh, they give you 2 pancakes and a sausage patty and the syrup. So you get one of the pancakes and you put the sausage thing on top of it, and then you pour the syrup on top of the sausage, and then you put the other pancake on top of that, and you eat it like a sandwich. It's somewhat an improvement. There's still just slightly too much syrup, so it still gets in your hands. And in that instance, you have to go and wash your hands. You have to fucking wash your hands. It's a fucking ridiculous. And that may seem simple to you. But if you're in a McDonald's in Grafton Street at 7 o'clock on a Monday morning, and you have the need to wash your hands, well, firstly, you have to figure out the toilet situation. The upstairs toilets aren't open. There's a disabled toilets downstairs, which by rights, I'm entitled to use the disabled toilets. I have a disability, but I prefer not to just go around monopolising it. But even when I want to monopolise it, everyone else is using it because the upstairs toilets aren't open yet. In fact, upstairs isn't open at all yet. They're opening the McDonald's in increments at that time of the morning. They go in early enough. They have 1/3 of the downstairs open. In fact, if you go in too early in the morning, you go and order your food, and then you start waiting for it at the checkout, and that's when you notice a sign saying no eating in before 7 o'clock. You have to bring this fucking thing out with you. and they give you in a bag. So at least if you go in at something like between 7 and 7:15 or something, there's a small area open that you can sit in, and then they have if you go and stand outside the disabled toilets long enough, some employee will take pity on you and say, "Hello, do you want me to unlock this for you?" And then I'll say, "No, I think it's unlocked. I think there's just someone in there. I'm just patiently waiting." And then what happens is the staff, trying to be helpful, goes and knocks on the door and says, "Is there anyone in there?" But then they go and disappear off. 2 minutes later, the person who's been in the toilet comes out and stares at me in the face because they assume I'm the one who's being impatiently knocking on the door. So I look like the gobshite then. If there's one thing I can't stand, it's looking like a gobshite standing outside the toilets of McDonalds in Grafton Street at 7:15 on a weekday morning. One thing I can't stand. Where was it? Oh, yes, I was saying this is going to be a proper ending of the show now. A proper planned ending, not just a segment that could be put in anywhere where I just rearrange them as whatever way suits me. This is going to be a proper ending of the episode. I see we're 6 minutes, 47 seconds into it now. That's great. I have to be honest, I completely forgotten I was doing the ending. Again, I've never been in a Taco Bell. I'm just wondering, do they give you not enough of everything to delicately balance the food on? So the whole fucking idea of all these things is supposed to be a thing that you put the food on. It's the bread of the Mexican food world, or it's the bread of the pancake, sausage, syrup, breakfast world. I don't know why they can't just give you bread in that instance. I suppose you could just have your breakfast at home. I suppose that's an option. Since I don't have anywhere to go in the mornings usually, I suppose that's an option. I don't know why I'd go out into Grafton Street in the centre of Dublin at 6:30 in the morning anyway. Oh, it's usually because I've woken up too early. I'm like getting the early bus and arriving in Dublin 3 hours before anything opens, and then trying to find somewhere to have a piss, and then find somewhere to cram some coffee and crap down my gullet, and then I'm in even more need for a piss. So I usually end up trying to find somewhere to have a piss, and McDonald's, I'll tell you about 60% of the time early in the morning, McDonald's doesn't satisfy that itch, I can tell you. It satisfies other itches, but not the needing a piss itch. In fact, it just adds to that itch. Makes you more itchy. You have an itch that you're trying to... When you go into these places, these fast food places like that, what you're doing is you're satisfying an itch. You got an itch that you get every few weeks where you go, "Oh, I'd love to have a McDonald's breakfast and some coffee." So you have to go and you scratch that itch by going into McDonald's and having some coffee. But then you also have the issue where if it's too early and there's nowhere to piss, and having the coffee adds to that. So now you've got a new itch that's not even the one that's very satisfying. This itch isn't particularly satisfying because it's an itch that you don't want to have in the first place. At least the McDonald's itch, where you want to have McDonald's breakfast, you can have some fun satisfying that itch. But then no, it gives you an itch where the needing to urinate itch. That's not an itch where you go, "Oh, I'd love to have a good long urinate." I'd scratch that itch by having a good long urination session. No, people just look at you. If you say that, people just think you're weird. Say, "Oh, we have to go into Dublin tomorrow. Will we go in early and do the whole needing a piss and having some coffee so you're even in more need of a piss? And then we'll be, when we finally get to scratch that itch around 9 o'clock when you find somewhere that's got a toilet open." That's going to be great. We haven't had a good needing a piss session in Dublin for several weeks. No, you say that to someone, they'll just look at you like you're a complete moron. Sometimes these things you have to just keep them to yourself because people will just think you're weird. They'll just think you're weird. Anyway, that's the end of the closing segment, I think. I think we're done, are we? I think we're done with that. So good morning. A very good morning to all of you who are listening to this. Many of whom are new. We've had at least, I think we've had at least 40 or 50 new subscribers in the last 2 weeks. Now, that's quite a lot to me. So I'd just like to say, you're new. So well done to you for being a new listener. Taking a bit of adventure and clicking on a thing that you saw a picture of me somewhere, a cartoon picture of me that looks nothing like me, but you saw it was a cartoon picture of me sitting at a desk, talking into a microphone and vomiting, and with 3 cats either on the desk or underneath it, all of them vomiting too. That's the current album art on this podcast. You clicked on that. It's been actually I've been running the numbers. That's the most successful image I've ever used for this podcast. It's been attracting some clicks. And you saw that and you said, oh, that looks like something. I'm going to try that. I have you're probably satisfying some itch, are you? You probably are. Well, good for you. Well done. You go out and seek a bit of an adventure. So well done. You probably need a piss now because you've been listening to me talking about urinating, have you? I hope you're not listening to this on your morning commute on the 6 a.m. bus. Well, at least you can get her all the way to the Busaris bus station. There's a toilet that's open there quite early in the morning. Just watch out because you have to go down into the dungeon basement at the bus station, and there's always, at the top of the stairs there's always 3 tiny little yellow cones to mark the fact that it's just being cleaned. You trip over them and you die. And that's a bad thing. So just be careful doing that. But at least know that if you're going from where I go, you can either get off the bus in Dawson Street and go up to the McDonalds there and then satisfy your various itches, but then you've nowhere to piss there, you see, unless the toilet happens to be open and available in the McDonald's. If you stay on the bus for another 2 stops, then you can get off at the bus station, Busaris. You can go down into the dungeon basements there and have your piss. But then the nearest McDonald's there is 10 minutes walk at least in the dark. Or I suppose you get the tram. You can get the tram from Busaris up to O'Connell Street. And even then, you have to go up to that McDonald's in O'Connell Street. I'm not a fan of that McDonald's. You get another stop and go up to the McDonald's beside the Jervis Centre. Now that doesn't open as early, I don't think. And then you go in there. So no, I don't know what to tell you there. Maybe you're not going to McDonald's at all, or you're not on the bus going to Busaris or anything. Maybe you're just on a different type of trip than me, or you're satisfying a different kind of itch. Maybe you've got an itch that just involves maybe you're a bus driver. Maybe you're just on the bus because you're the driver, so you're not satisfying any itches at all, other than the having a steady income itch. Which, good luck with that if you're a bus driver in this economy. I wish you well with that. Anyway, good morning.